The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bucklebomb Presents After Elite. I am your host, Sarah, and with me tonight is Seven. How are you this evening?
I'm doing quite well for being a Wednesday. It means the week's almost over, so how can you go wrong there?
A little past the halfway point, so.
Yeah, definitely. Much needed this time.
Yes. All right, so we'll hop into, not much in the past week since the last show, as far as news. We did have AEW's Battle of the Belts last Friday night. The lowest rated of the Battle of the Belts. I brought this up during Ring Around the Jabroni this week. Do you think it was the time slot being, East Coast time, 11 p.m. Eastern live? Do you think that was the reason it hurt it most, or do you think people are losing interest?
No, I definitely don't think that people are losing interest. I think that a lot of people are actually tuning in, judging by Dynamite's ratings. They have continually stay above, I believe, the 1 million part. I may be wrong, but they've definitely increased within the past 6 months. I definitely think it was a horrible time because you had GCW, you had Bound by Glory, which is Impact's biggest pay-per-view of the year. It's their equivalent to WrestleMania. You also had SmackDown, which they teased Ryan Bray Wyatt, and you had the go home show before the big pay-per-view the next day, which, by the way, was amazing. So I think that there's a lot of factors that it just wasn't going to work no matter what, which is really weird because they could have put it on a different day. But this is where we're at. I mean, me personally, there was so much wrestling. I did not watch Battle of the Belts.
Yeah, I think the big thing that hurt is typically they're on right before Impact's pay-per-view, the Battle of the Belts, which is typically, they're going to be on a Saturday at 7 p.m., which is, a decent time slot for that. Well, Impact has their past couple of pay-per-views have been on Friday nights, and this was also on after Bound for Glory. So, I mean, that was pretty late, and I don't think a lot of people knew necessarily maybe to look for it after the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think it was actually on the same time slot. I'm not really sure. But I would have loved to have it on Saturday. I think that the good thing for wrestling fans is that there's so much wrestling on TV, you literally can choose the product of your choice. For us who, absolutely are just marks and, run a podcast, we try to watch it all. And it's really hard because there's so much wrestling on.
Yeah. Styles, we got a wrestling we got going on. It's great all around. But let's get into Dynamite tonight. It was pretty good Dynamite. We had heard the rumors the past few days. Tony Khan announcing it on Twitter about an hour, maybe 2 hours before the show. He made it official. They have signed Renee Paquette to a contract. Debuted, I believe Toronto is her hometown. So she got to debut there, so good for her. It seemed like they teased that she was going to be a commentator, but it looks like she's just more or less going to be a backstage correspondent / interviewer.
Yes. I'm kind of excited. I loved Renee. I love her podcast. I also know that she got a deal with NFL, was it? I don't
Yes. She's doing a podcast for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure Brian Pillman Jr. loves that. He's a huge Cincinnati fan.
Yes.
Well, hello, Kenny, in the comments.
Yes, thank you, Kenny. So, yeah, I think, it's great. Love to see her grow. I have her cookbook. Renee is just such a great character. She's a great person. She's very funny. If you're into cookbooks, pick up her cookbook. She tells stories. It's pretty good. I got that right when it came out, so that was pretty nice.
I did not know that.
Let me get back to my notes here. So right off the bat, we had Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus kind of a grudge match. We had that match. Luchasaurus goes over Jungle Boy with some shenanigans, of course.
Yeah.
Cage helping. What'd you think?
I mean, it was a good match. I think it was a good starter or opener. It had the people being excited. Overall, I would say it was a good match. I kind of figured it was going to be that type of ending because I think they're going to have a big feud that lasts a while, and they should, at least until Christian is no longer injured and can do his match. I'm hoping that he is still able to come in and wrestle. I don't think he's planning on retiring, but who knows?
I heard the injury he's got. I forget the exact injury. What I did hear is a 7 to 9 month recovery time. So maybe we see him back at Revolution next year.
Very possible.
After that, we got our first promo of the night. Hardy Party, Matt Hardy and Private Party confronting the Firm. We find out Stokely Hathaway and the Firm have purchased the contracts of Private Party from Andrade. Matt Hardy is a little upset about this, challenges them for their contracts. We find out that the match on Rampage will actually be a one-on-one match between Isaiah Cassidy and Ethan Page. But the interesting twist, if Ethan Page wins, then Matt Hardy's contract also goes to the Firm.
Interesting. I didn't actually get that, but they had to do something with them. So, I mean, I think that's just a way to add them to it, of course.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like they're going to keep Andrade off TV possibly for a little while, or who knows what's going on with that. So that's the perfect way, to kind of clean house a little bit. Rush will probably be on his own, but maybe have Jose the assistant in his corner.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're going to do with that one. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll see Andrade back anytime soon.
No. Who do you expect to win this match coming Friday? Ethan Page, or do you think Isaiah Cassidy wins?
I think Ethan Page has to.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Because then it writes the story off longer, them trying to get out of the contracts, them not happy being part of the Firm. We'll see.
Yeah. I will admit that's probably like one of the. I know we just watched it, but that was one of the matches that I totally forgot about.
Then we have Wardlow and Samoa Joe taking on the Factories, QT Marshall and Nick Comoroto.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many people that can make Nick Comoroto look, like the smaller man, but that was right. Wardlow tonight.
I'm a huge fan of Wardlow, so it was good to see him in a match, and obviously not just a squash match, even though technically that match was kind of a squash. Say that for Dynamite or for Dark and Elevation, but it was a decent match. I'm glad they got to at least get some hits in.
Yeah, I was expecting a squash match, but to my surprise, it wasn't. Whatever the next tier above a squash match would be, that's kind of what it was. They got some offense in. They had the advantage for a while. Then we see the Embassy come out, from Ring of Honor, and Brian Cage, who is looking more jacked than ever. Good God.
Yes. Oh my God, he looks amazing. I'm actually so happy to see him on AEW TV again.
Agree. We see them come out and they're talking about how FTR is scared to be around. And then we see FTR come out. They cut a little. It's good to see FTR on TV as well.
Yeah.
They challenge. I believe it was Rampage. We find out that there's going to be a match, and who's their newest tag team partner? It's the return of
Mr. Spears.
Not only that, but a familiar gimmick back from his old WWE days. The Perfect 10 gimmick.
Interesting. So one, I didn't know he was even in WWE.
Yep. He was known as Ty Dillinger back in WWE. I don't know if that name rings. I know you had a little bit of a gap there.
Yeah.
he's working, main event and, all the, I don't want to say the lower class shows, but, more of the streaming service shows.
Yeah, which sometimes are better than, at that time, sometimes they were better than the main shows. But yeah, definitely at that time.
Yep. So we saw Sean Spears, new music, new video package. Looks like maybe a new gimmick and a baby face turn.
I think he has to. I think we need to see something different from him. I kind of felt like he kind of hit like a stall kind of thing, like he wasn't going anywhere. Also, congratulations to you and I don't remember her real name, Peyton, having a baby.
Yes.
Or she's still pregnant, but going to have a baby.
Cassie Lee is her real name.
That's right.
Yep. Yes, congratulations. They are having a baby. Congrats to them. Next up, we see Billy Gunn take on Swerve Strickland. This was a good match.
I love Billy Gunn. I do think that he may have gotten legit injured, or he's just a hell of a worker, which could totally be. But it was good to see him back in a ring that wasn't just with his boys, and that he was actually a competitor. I did enjoy a lot of or some of his old DX stuff where he would pull down the pants, and I hope that was like a due to WWE, because they did try to include him. We'll never know the full story as to if Tony Khan was the one that said no. I do know that Brian James said that they did everything they could to bring him on. So, it's good to see WWE open their door to Billy. We just don't know what happened that transpired it.
Right. We don't know what the travel plans were. He might have already been on his way that day to Toronto. Because I know their recent travel restrictions and, links have changed recently. So we don't know exactly what the story was. And it's not fair to speculate, who's at fault.
Exactly.
What I do find really funny is, Corey Graves on Monday night, acknowledged Billy Gunn. He goes, he goes, there is another guy, but I think he's, what was the exact line? He goes, I think he's selling office equipment somewheres. And then we see Taz come back today. I think, I was saying, Billy Gunn's looking good. Taz comes back with, well, yeah, that's what happens when you do a lot of, moving office furniture in your spare time. Just to see, Taz play off that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was, like, if you're going to battle or banter with another company, that's how you do it. Honestly. Like, I didn't feel like there was any hard feelings about it. I just felt like it was kind of a cool thing that they did.
Interesting thing I want to bring up, because I wasn't on Monday's show. We're going to talk to WWE for just a couple seconds here. We saw X-Pac acknowledge Chyna. Do you think we'll see Chyna get in the Hall of Fame this year? Do you think this is the year she goes in solo?
So let me start off by saying I hope so. She absolutely deserves it. She's opened the window for so many intergender matches and wrestlers. I would love to see her in. Do I think that it will happen? I'm not sure. And to be quite honest, I'm not sure that it's appropriate to add her. Not because of anything that she did. I just, your ex and you had an affair on you, and they would be the ones that would bring you in. Like, it's almost like, I don't know. But I think the fans want it, and I think she deserves it. So I hope she does. I don't know.
I think it happens not the next class, not the class of 23, but I think in 24, I think we see it happen.
Extremely possible.
Caleb in the comments. Thanks for joining us tonight, Caleb. The interesting thing that happened, though, after the match, after a Swerve, second match tonight, with Shenanigans for the win. We see Billy and the Acclaimed, they go to do the scissor, and then we see Mark Sterling, Tony Nese come out. And we've learned that Mark Sterling has trademarked, Scissor Me and all that, for the rights of wrestling. And if they use it, they would threaten lawsuits.
Correct.
I mean,
so what do you think about all of that? Like, honestly.
Part of me wants to say, how do you take away the biggest saying that's in professional wrestling right now? How do you take away, at least AEW, whether or not it's the biggest thing in wrestling right now, that's another story, between that and Sami Zayn, the whole honorary Oos thing, those are your top two stories. Do you take that away? I'm sure there's some big payoff that's coming. How quick or how long it takes to get there, we'll see.
So I know a couple of us hated it in chat. I absolutely love the segment. I think that it's how you get heel heat. It's how you make a story interesting. I mean, they've literally been. I mean, they're just over. They're very over, which is fine. It's great, but like something has to happen. They're going to get boring if they just let them keep doing the same thing. Or not, they won't be boring, but like the audience is going to get bored. And they just continue to do the same thing. It's going to be a hell of a battle to get that back, which I'm sure that they will. Or, another thing that came into mind, I know that executives at or wherever they're at right now, kind of had them tone it down. Maybe they're like, well, this may be a little too risque. I hope that's not the case. Yeah. And that would be the perfect way to get it out of their hands. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening.
Speaking of the Warner Discovery thing, I did see a story that came out. Warner Media is interested in bringing more wrestling content or sports content to TBS and TNT. So maybe that means either more AEW programming, or maybe we're finally getting close to that Ring of Honor TV deal, which I hope so.
So this is what I kind of hope. I hope that we end up getting a streaming service. And I also hope that possibly, I'm okay with Ring of Honor not being on TV, because I feel like it's just going to be another AEW show, right? It needs to be different. Something needs to be not the same thing as a Rampage, not the same thing as a Dynamite with the same stages and just different things. It needs to have something unique, and it has to stand on its own. Like, I mean, I don't mean to bring this up, but like WWE, when they had, we all know that Raw and SmackDown are hand in hand, right? But if you look at their other stuff, it was made differently. Like NXT was totally separate from the other two. NXT UK was separate from everything. And I think that's what it needs to be. It can't just be another show that's going to be like, oh, we'll just fill it in. I don't care if the show's on YouTube. It just has to be different in order for it to work.
I could see, I know Warner Media is trying to finalize, the merger between the two streaming services, HBO Max and Discovery Plus. They're trying to get that all merged together as one service. Maybe we see Ring of Honor go straight to the streaming service. Maybe they do it as a studio show. It might give us some sort of different feel.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd be totally okay with that. To be honest with you, I just need it to be something different. I don't necessarily care where it goes. Also, that library from Ring of Honor is huge. It goes back to all the way since 2002, I believe. So I want to see that.
Plus, you would get the original All Out streaming as well. All in? No, All In? All In.
All In, yeah.
Okay.
Is Gary in the comments by chance?
I don't see him.
Okay. I had a question for him, but I can wait.
So next up, we had Moxley come out, cut a promo, and then we see Hangman Adam Page come out. He cuts a promo. They kind of cut a promo on each other a little bit. And, we see a very determined, borderline dark side kind of Hangman Adam Page. I loved it. I thought it was great. Great promo by Hangman.
I absolutely loved it. Hangman is such a badass that, like, I love anything Hangman does. I didn't love his pants, but I love anything that he does.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed the new ring gear, the new,
Well, it's not his ring gear, it's just his
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I love his shirt though.
Mm-hmm. The shirt was cool.
Yeah.
What do you see the odds of Hangman defeating Moxley next week?
Ooh. It's not going to happen. As much as I think there's going to be shenanigans, or if he does, the thing is, Adam's great at chasing. By the way, he hit himself way too hard. He gave himself like a huge bruise. But I mean, he was trying to show point. Kudos to you for really committing to that. Um, how do I say it? Like, I think that no. If he does, I think that MJF will cash in and he'd become the champion. I don't think that they're going to keep the belt on him because he's really good at chasing the belt. He's really good in this character to where he's like, I deserve this. And truthfully, he really does. So we'll see how that ends up going.
I would love to see Hangman beat Moxley clean next week, and then
Okay.
MJF immediately cash in and defeat Hangman like within 2 minutes. That would garner so much heel heat from the crowd, I think.
I don't disagree with you. I think that would absolutely be a travesty.
We all didn't think that it'd be possible for anybody to have a shorter title reign than CM Punk, but maybe that's how it happens.
Yeah. I hear he has an office job.
Yeah, that's the rumor going around, but another story for another time if we ever get more information on that.
Mm-hmm.
To my surprise, I thought this would be the main event, but we have Chris Jericho defending the Ring of Honor Championship against Bryan Danielson. Great match.
Yeah.
Of course, we get the ref bump. We know shenanigans is about to happen. We see Jericho about to hit Danielson with the belt. Garcia comes out to save the day. Takes the belt away from Jericho. A little bit of shoving. And then Garcia hits Danielson with the belt, costing him the match. But it didn't really look like Garcia wanted to do it. And he looks like he didn't look like he really wanted to embrace Jericho either afterwards.
Yeah.
Do you think he's kind of has a little turmoil going on in his mind?
I think ultimately what he's doing is setting himself apart from either team. I think that the end result's going to be him not joining JAS or the BCC.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just his way of, I'm not going to do it kind of thing. I'm going to go in business for myself. Screw both of you. I'm okay with this storyline, but it's the least interesting for me right now.
Yeah. After that, we see another backstage promo. Renee Paquette interviewing Nyla Rose, who has taken the belt from Jade Cargill and calls herself the new champion. I'm okay with that. Like she said, possession is 9/10 of the law.
This is true. Nobody can argue that.
And then we see Anna Jay come out and challenge Nyla Rose. So I'm confused.
All the people.
Yeah. Are they doing heel versus heel for a title match, or are they turning Nyla Rose face?
That's actually a really good question. I don't really know how they're going to try to work that out. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to plan. But I did we all loved, I don't think you can, because you have Vicky, who can't be a face, let's be honest. She should never be a face. Like, she's straight up heel. As far as Anna Jay, what? Why? They kind of came out of nowhere. So I'm kind of wondering if Jade is injured and needs to take some time off, and that's why they decided to put it on. Or if it's just storytelling. I don't know. Yeah. It's a little confusing to me. At least have Nia take the belt off of her, in an actual match.
I mean, if we have Nyla Rose turn babyface, is she the one to defeat Jade Cargill and end the streak?
I would hope so. I don't even care if she stays a villain, as long as...
Mm-hmm.
I think that... Here's the thing. I love Nyla, and I love Jade. I just Jay needs to lose already. She needs the belt off. That's just my opinion.
I can see Nyla Rose kind of playing, kind of how we have Pac right now. Sometimes he's heel, sometimes he's villain. It's kind of, the heel, sometimes he's babyface. Kind of goes back and forth without really making any official turn. So maybe that's how we see Nyla Rose kind of transition for a little while. Next match, we had a tag team match. We see Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm defeat Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Shida showing off her 2 Japanese championship titles, which I thought was a good look.
I don't know where she's won them though. I'm pretty up with, especially women in Japan or Japanese wrestling in Japan. That makes no sense. Okay.
Not the tag title, the singles title. I think she won, I want to say over the weekend.
Okay. Because I don't know where, I'm going to have to look it up because if there's a company out there that I don't know about, I need to know. I need to know everything.
We see Shida pin Britt Baker. So maybe that lends to another feud coming up.
I hope so.
Yeah. We need more Shida on TV. She's been off TV for too long. Yeah.
And she's still the #1 selling merch from all the women in AEW.
Yes. Which I'm not going to lie, with as little as she's on TV right now, that kind of takes me by surprise because I thought it would have been Britt Baker.
Me too.
Then we had our main event. Pac defending the All-Atlantic Championship against Orange Cassidy. To my surprise, I'm sure to the surprise of many, although I know you kind of saw this coming, Orange Cassidy defeats Pac for the title.
Yeah, because why else have this match if that wasn't going to happen? There had to be a payoff. So for me, it wasn't a surprise necessarily. It was a good match though. Even that there were times when I was like, I don't know who's going to win, but I assumed that it was going to be because Pac just had to step in and has the trios. So he's probably going to have to be in the States more defending those unless they're going to have it globally. And I think that maybe Orange is like, oh, I can travel. I'm not part of any team right now. And it makes sense. Plus, Orange is still super over.
Yes.
So to me, it made sense.
It does make sense. To me, Orange was just always one of those. He's so over, like the Jake Roberts here. You don't need a title to be over with the crowd.
Right.
And to me, that's kind of where Orange sat. Maybe this is part of a plan to sell AEW a little bit more in the European market, put a very likable guy like Orange Cassidy, put the title on him, send him over there to do some matches, promote AEW a little bit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that.
So we'll have to see what they do with that. All right, so we're hitting our half an hour mark here. Rampage, we got some good matches lined up for Rampage this week. Again, we have the newly reformed Pinnacle, FTR and Shawn Spears taking on the Embassy and Brian Cage. That'll be a good match. I didn't see what else. I know there's other matches. Oh, yeah, we have Isaiah Cassidy and Ethan Page for the contracts. And then we have Nyla Rose taking on Anna Jay. So it should be a halfway decent Rampage this week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. I'm excited to see what's gonna transpire in that one. If I get to watch it. Yes. There's always that, Fridays are so hard to watch or be able to get to watch. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, that'll do it for us here tonight. Thank you for joining us, and tune into us on Monday night when we will have the Chop Shop and talk all things WWE. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Bye.